The following content is for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
You are now listening to No Free Drinks, the not your ordinary dating, relationships, and sex advice podcast.
Join me, Wesley, your Keeps It Real co-host. We were going out, I would say steady for like 6 to 8 months. We just abruptly stopped having sex. So why are we not getting freaky? Like, what the fuck's going on? So she's like, no, because I've renewed my faith in God. I know how I am. Like, I'm not gonna get no cheeks. I'm gonna cheat on you. Brock, your Knows-It-All co-host.
And then my go-to hookup one has always and will forever be Tinder. It's just like in the bathroom, like, cool, I got these 5-10 minutes, like just thumb game strong, like.
And Lena D, your No Chill co-host.
Oh, so do you go down on women? And there were a few men that said, no, like, I don't believe in that. And then I was like, oh, well, I don't believe in fucking you, so we should probably end this.
Shit, yeah. That's harsh as fuck.
I mean, it's harsh as fuck to say you're not going to eat my pussy out.
Join us every Wednesday for
all type of societal norms being turned upside down.
Welcome back, guys, to No Free Drinks. This is Wesley here. And before I get started,
That'd be the mean disclaimer.
No, this is actually a very nice disclaimer.
Okay.
Next week is Thanksgiving, so we're not going to put out an episode. So I figured I'd say that in the beginning of this episode, so that way, if you want to listen to all our stuff in the past, you know that this is the last episode that we're putting out for Thanksgiving. We're taking a break. We're going to come back the following week with some new shit. So stick around. Anyway, what we'd like to talk about here today is we're still in 2017 having this bullshit conversation about who pays on the first date. The shit makes no sense. I personally think that there's some very opposing views about who pays for the first date, but is in my estimation that people should go Dutch. And I know, like, all the ladies
Damn,
already...
you just put everything out there.
All the ladies just like, oh, but before you hit that pause button, don't you hit that stop button. Not just yet. Just hold on. Hear me out.
Wesley about to get no more dates.
Hear me out. It's a generational thing, right? So in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you taught to be chivalrous and all this other stuff. As we've gone on through the times, men have been taught that women are just as equal as men, and that's fine. Don't get me wrong. Like that is great, and I am for that. I'm for equal rights between the sexes. But here's the thing, though. You can't say that you're equal, and then on the other hand, say that you can't say, oh, I'm independent. I don't need a man to do XYZ for me. I don't need anybody to pay for me. But then in the same goddamn breath, say, oh, well, I know my worth and you should be paying for this date, blah, blah, blah. That's very contradictory. You can't say that you're independent and you make your own money and stuff like that and tell me, oh, by the way, if you want to get with me, you need to spend money. That makes no sense to me personally. So I think you should go Dutch. That's my view and my take on it. But a lot of women out here, like, don't you hit that damn pause button. Like, if you already download this episode, you might as well
close the app.
You might as well just listen to the whole thing. You've already downloaded it. We've already got the stats for it. You might as well listen to all of what we're saying. So, but I personally don't mind paying. It's just that there shouldn't be an expectation that I'm supposed to pay because of my gender. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's not supposed to be like, oh, well, I know my worth, so a man's supposed to be paying for me. Well, okay, fine. So if you want me to pay for you, that is my resource. If it's my choice, then I'm spending only $40 for both of us. So I'm a cheap motherfucker. So,
on the first date.
On the first date.
Yeah.
For first date, $40. And the reason why I say $40 is this. Here's the thing. Like, on the first date, I always make things a little easier. It's just like, oh, well, if on the first date, I say coffee, I say drinks, I say let's do lunch. Lunch don't cost $40. Lunch for me definitely doesn't cost $40.
Even in New York City.
Even lunch barely costs $15. That's when I'm feeling frisky for $15. Let's be honest here. That's when I'm feeling frisky.
That's when you want some brisket.
Yeah, that's
some barbecue.
That's when I want like all the fixings and stuff like that. Nah, I'm good with salad. So if we going out for lunch, let's be honest here. Like, it's actually a treat because, quite frankly, I don't spend $40 on myself for lunch. So, come on.
But that's $40 between the two of you.
Yes.
Not 40 each.
Hell no.
Okay, just making that disclaimer.
Hell no. Like, and I don't know if you've heard prior episodes where I say, like, I've walked out on dates who I felt have been, like, using me. Listen to, I think it was episode 7 or 8, whatever that episode was. I basically go in and say, like, look.
It was Nightmare on NFD Street.
Nightmare on NFD Street. I legit walked out on the date. I was like, no, I'm not spending $160 on dinner. I barely spend like $30 on dinner. I live in New York City, so I already know how much things cost. If you're expecting this wine and dine stuff, come on, stop it. You wouldn't even spend that on yourself. If you're not going to spend it on yourself, why would I spend it on you?
Okay. Well, we're going to get into all that. So
don't press pause.
So, I mean, Wesley, you came out here with like fist swinging, arm swinging and shit.
Hell yeah.
Brock, what do you think? I'm interested in the male point of view on this one.
So this is probably one of the few, probably only times Wesley and I disagree. So,
sorry, wait.
So when it comes to first dates, I'm very traditional in a sense where I've always paid. I've paid for every single first date in my life except for one.
Man, he trying to get chicks, like,
because it was just so bad. And it felt as though like you just wasted my time. Like, it turned out she didn't drink. I just like, why the fuck would you say yes to a date at the bar if you don't drink? And then so I just drank even more to cope with how bullshit this was. So that
was your therapy.
That's my therapy. Just some more Manhattans. Just like, it's just ridiculous. I don't know like where that started. Like, I think kind of part of it is what you see in TV and movies growing up. Like Wesley hinted at, every man is supposed to be chivalrous. Then my parents have been together forever, and then I don't know. I don't mind it. I've also could always afford it if I worked in the industry or had a job where I couldn't afford it. I probably might rethink it. But I think at least the advice I usually give to friends of mine who can't necessarily afford to, lack of a better word, trick on the first date. Like, I always pay, but at the same time, like, you can pick whatever date you want for yourself. Like, you could do lunch, you could do a date in the park, you could do drinks, you could go mini golf, and like, yes, you're paying, but you can decide the activity and the amount you're willing to spend. That's right. And she can agree to it or not. So it's up to you, like, what you want to do. But I do think paying on the first date as a guy is probably one of the few things in dating where I'm like super traditional. And I think I'm just a spoiler by nature. So it kind of fits hand. Like, I hate receiving gifts. I don't like surprises, but I love giving people gifts, whether it's my younger brothers, whether it's someone I'm dating. So I think that just kind of fits in nicely with that.
But you can't be giving gifts to everybody. Like, that
Not
that
to
cheap
everyone,
is the gift.
but
that cheap is the gift.
No,
though,
but
right?
it's just who I'm dating at that time. And my siblings.
Oh, no, man.
So would you say that for you, it's an expectation? Like, do you say to yourself, I'm going on this first date, I'm expected to pay, so therefore I'm going to pay?
Yes and no. So that's a good point, and Wesley hinted a little bit. Although I do always pay, it is a turn-up / red flag if you don't do one of the following. Reach for your wallet, offer, or say thank you. One of those three things don't happen, is nothing happening past that.
But these city chicks are mad ungrateful. They don't do any of the above.
So then it's a wrap. Like, it's back to the title thing. Like, I don't mind paying because that's just how it's not even raised. It's just that's just what I kind of soaked up growing up. Like, guy pays. I don't mind that, but you're not entitled for me to fucking feed you or give you drinks. The same way, like, kind of like huge pet peeve of mine. I'm walking through the door. I hold the door. The next person after me, you do one or two things. You say thank you. You hold the door. I prefer both. Like, I'm not entitled to hold the door for you. Same thing. I'm not entitled to pay for your first date. So
my thing is even about entitlement. It's always about like it's for me. My thing is very rooted around being equal amongst sexes. Right. That's my thing. Like if you're saying in one hand one thing and you're doing something completely different, that's not very equal. You're having your cake and eating it too.
I will play devil's advocate. If, let's picture this.
Don't tell me she makes less than me because that's bullshit too.
No, not even the money thing. But picture a world where guys knew every first date was Dutch. The percentage of fuckboys would fucking skyrocket overnight.
You think so though?
Hell fucking yes. If I know starting tomorrow, I don't have to pay for a first date, stick swinging everywhere. Just like, cool.
Yeah, but that's wholly dependent on the woman whether she wants to accept the stick or not, right? Like that's not exactly saying.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, like if it's 50-50, it's equal. So I'm not just as much as you're saying you're in a situation where you're going out on a first date, and if it's expected for the man to pay, the man could easily say, it's expected for me to get something in return. So what is it like? I think it's that dynamic between like.
That actually leads into a YouTube video that I saw a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
So I think that's one thing. So, but like if you said, okay, it's going to go 50-50, the dude just knows. So he's going to start going on all these dates. The woman also knows, well, I'm also paying half of my way, or I'm paying my way there. I still can say no. Like, I think that's what happens now. It's like, and I will kind of give my point of view on it as well and weigh in a little bit, is that I've actually played all sides of the paying spectrum. And with
must be
very,
nice.
Very like.
Must be real nice.
It is very nice because I pretty much.
I can't get away with that shit.
I played it. But this is the thing, and this is what we're talking about, is that because there has been a societal expectation that men pay, or at least that's one of the points of view. There's other points of view that we'll go through. But right now we're talking about if the man pays, what does that mean? Or if we were always going to be going 50-50, what does that mean? So what I will say is that because there are situations where the man comes in and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to pay for this, or he immediately offers. I've had no qualms in just letting him pay, and me knowing that I'm never going to like actually want anything more with him other than the fact that I wanted him to pay and treat me. So, and there's times where if he says, hey, we should do this again, and he's willing to do some other thing and pay for it, I have let dudes do that when I have no intention of even sleeping with them.
The fuck?
And I've done that with
cold-blooded.
Like I've done that knowing that that's what I'm doing. It is what it is. You're willing to pay for it. You're obviously enjoying hanging out with me. And I think you're cool as a dude and like we can be friends and shit, but I just don't want to sleep with you. But if you're going to keep paying, then go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
Well, I will side with just because I came out swinging. I will side with Brock though. Like if you at least like reach for the pockets and be like, hey, let me offer whatever, this, that, whatever. But I feel that's like another trap too, but whatever.
Unless you call her bullshit.
Yeah. Call her bullshit and be like, oh yeah,
cool. This is great.
But I've had women like, I'm on dates, like, end of the date comes up, she reached for them pockets, she got the car ready, like, I got you. She's like, I was like, no. She's like, all right, how about this? The next date, that's the key though. It's like the next date, you got the next. Like, oh, there's a second date. I always use that. Like, oh, I got this a second date.
Line.
Woo! All right, I passed, didn't I? She's like, yeah, you got a B plus. So,
but I've just done it because they're willing to pay, and because there's an expectation that men pay on the first date, or if men pay on every date, because sometimes it is also the expectation that the man always pays. I've taken advantage of it if I have nothing else going on in my life.
So what you're trying to say is that you tricking out here for dinner. Is that what you're telling me right now?
I'm telling you that I have no qualms that if somebody wants to pay for my dinner, I'm going to let them pay for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not tricking because I'm not giving my pussy out in return.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Bad choice of words. My fault, Lena D. My bad.
But that's been one range of the scenario. I've also have blatantly said, yes, I expect you to pay, but I'm broke right now.
I'm broke.
Like, I have been transparent about my financial situation, especially when I left the workforce to go back to get a grad school degree. And I was upfront about it. And I knew that the person that was treating me was working. So I had no qualm saying, oh, okay, you want to pay for this drink? Okay, cool. Well, I'm a broke college student, so thanks. And like, literally, that was the entire, like, that would always be our interactions for like the next year. And we were, whatever, seeing each other or whatnot. And I joked about it. Once I started working, however, he would continue to offer to pay. And then in that situation, I would say, oh, okay, well, I would reach for my wallet and he would, because I was actually intending to pay because I was a fully functioning working adult again.
There you go.
And I was making my own money. So I would reach for my wallet with the intention to pay. And he would say, no, like, let me pay. Like, it's cool.
See, that's different from like the other ones. They'd be like, oh, you should pay. And that's it. And expect that all the time. But that's the shit that grinds my gears. It's just like, it's not just the one time. It's like you expect it all the time. So my resources diminish while your resources stay the same or get better. That's always been my thing. Like, there's nothing equal about this whole situation. I thought if we were going out, we're supposed to be, like two people trying to get to know each other.
Right.
Not one person depleting his resources and the other person just gets to keep their resources and make of it as it were for whatever money that they've kept.
Yeah. And so
that's my problem.
So that's the thing though. So like, I will kind of add to that. It's when I've seen it like that, when it's like, it's not a depletion of resources. It's actually that we're, let me finish.
All right, cool.
You guys can't see my face right now.
It's not what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's not that it's a depletion of resources. It's just understanding where you are. So my approach in the situations where I have chosen this approach has been twofold. So I have one example where I've gone out with somebody and we've gotten to talk about what we do for a living. And I kind of come to see that, hey, we're kind of like equals, like he's cool. Like I want to keep being friends with him, even if it doesn't work out from a dating perspective. This is somebody that I do want to keep in my life, at least as a friend. Right. So because I wanted to have some sort of relationship, not necessarily a romantic relationship, but at least I appreciated them as a person, I've kind of felt it out and feel like, oh yeah, we're equals. Like I'm also going to like go halfsies. And it's never been like a situation around like, oh, well, I never want to see you again. So I'm paying my way because I don't want to owe you anything. It wasn't that. And then there's also been the flip side where I found out that I made more money than the person that I was on the date with. And then I was like, and they still went and offered to pay. And I was like, no, I can't let you pay because I'm literally making more money than you are.
You are way nicer than, I would say, 85% of these New York City ladies out here. I'll tell you that right now. I'm putting that out there.
But it's because it comes down to, so, okay, well, what is the intent of the date? So my point of view is that
80% of guys want to smash, and as quickly and as soon as possible.
Okay, but
with little resource depletion as possible. That much I can tell you.
Pretty much.
So, but that doesn't. If you just want to smash, it doesn't require taking somebody out on a date.
Oh, yes, it does. Oh, most definitely it does.
But
they're
no,
not chicks out here handing out these.
But Brock
these
just said. Brock just said you can choose what the date is. You could go out to the park. You could say, "Hey, I'm bringing wine. Can you bring this? Our date is a picnic in the park." Like you don't have to outright pay for everything.
It's cold out here in these streets.
Well,
like legitimately,
like now
it literally is cold out here.
But that is like what I'm saying is like not every situation, and even what you said, Wesley, was like, "Oh, well, we can go out to lunch," and like I'm comfortable with like. If I'm meeting you for the first time and trying to get to know you as a person, I'm comfortable at least paying for your lunch.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But then like the second date, if it's the same thing, like, really?
I usually give it the first 3 dates.
First 3 dates?
Yeah.
See, my first 3 dates, that's the smash is the first 3 date rule for me.
Well, that too. The power of 3.
Yeah.
First 3, then it should be like
Dutch, should be like, all right, yeah.
Dutchy every once in a while.
At least offer tip. Like that's all I'm saying. Not like
or pay
that.
for the cab, free cabinet, like something.
Yeah.
So
Halfsies on the Uber.
The point that I was trying to make is the purpose of the date should, people want to fuck, but the purpose of the date is to find somebody that is, and this is why people go out dating, is because you're trying to find someone that's compatible with you.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
The purpose of the date is to find someone that's compatible in terms of like your points of view, how they are as a human, whether you guys can have conversation, whether you guys could eventually have a relationship.
Right.
Being in a relationship means that you are partners.
But if the stigma comes around, like who pays on the first date, and that's all you're worried about, and you're not worried about whether or not the chemistry is great, then that's another problem in itself.
And that's what I'm trying to say is that if I'm looking for a partnership, whether it's in a relationship or if I meet somebody that's really cool and I want to be friends with them, even though it doesn't work out as a relationship, I want you to be my friend first. So like, why would I treat a friend like shit and expect them to pay for me when I go out with my girlfriends? I don't expect them to pay for me.
That's because women overestimate their vagina. They think, oh, I got this sweet cakes. I'm going to do whatever you want. But then you...
like what you're talking about right now, I guarantee you.
None of the people practicing that shit.
The first 10 people that's in your messaging list right now, 6 of them probably girls, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure you say the same thing right now that you're saying right here. They all gonna tear you apart because they all feel some kind of way about paying on the first date.
None of them are doing that. Most people don't.
But
that has been my evolving point of view.
Right.
Like as I've gone on more dates, as I've met more people, as I've had interactions that always don't end up in being in a relationship or whatever. I've had interactions where I meet dudes that I'm really attracted to. It just doesn't work out like that. I still want us to be friends.
Right.
Like there's other ways to approach it. Like
Of
it's
course.
like my point is you can't judge basically what a relationship is going to be based on like who is like a transaction based on who's going to pay.
That's true.
And like I said,
I holistically agree with
taken
you.
advantage of dudes that are willing to pay on the first date. I was
Yo.
like, I've never been, I'll be the first one to say like, I'm not mad at myself for doing that. But I've also then, I've grown and I've come to see that there's other ways that things work out. And there's other things that are more important than who pays on the first date. And I've been in dates. Wesley and I were talking about this the other day as we were preparing to like talk about this topic. And I was like, you know what? I know that your car broke down on our first date. So I picked you up.
That shit was awful. I was so mad.
But I was like, but what the fuck did we even spend money on?
Nah, we went to fucking Borders.
No, but like we hung out for a whole evening and we couldn't even remember what the fuck we spent money on and who the hell paid for it.
That's true.
Nor do I care at this point.
That's honest to God truth. That is true. I'm still thinking about like what really happened that date.
Like all I remember is like we did this, like the stuff that was like fun, like the memories and where we bonded. That's what I remember.
Right.
I don't, and I can probably go to like through like list of like other people that where I'm still friends with them. And I can't like go through every single transaction and for sure say, oh yeah, like we split it, or like, oh yeah, like this person paid in that instance, or I paid, or this or that. Especially if we're still in touch, it just doesn't matter anymore. So I think it's more about, okay, well, what really is it that you're looking for on that first date is what I'm saying.
We can have a big conversation on this. This is go back and forth, but we need to
talk. We need to like
shit moving.
Going. So I guess the first date is a big one. And then we did mention some stuff around relationships. But there's different points of view on it. I think we've spent a lot of time on like the man always pays. But what do you guys think about the scenario where, or the point of view, like when you ask this question to a general audience and like, you know, who pays on the first date? The people that come back and say whoever asks pays. What do you guys think about that?
That's a fucking cop out.
Yeah, it's just a loophole.
That's a big ass loophole, and I'm not fucking with your ass.
Because the guy is always the one that asks anyway, so it's the same shit. You just said it nicely, poetically.
But what about women out there that have asked dudes on a date?
All three of them? Like, I've never heard of that.
So I guess like being on. So I'm just trying to like get a sense of like how much of a loophole it really is. So you use Bumble, right?
I've used the Bumble before, yeah.
Where the woman
That's
initiates the conversation. Have you ever had a woman ask you out on a date on Bumble?
No, I have had women be the first to suggest exchanging numbers, but no, it hasn't been, hey, we should go out sometime this weekend. It's never gotten to that point. It's always like, I'm gonna wait till he asks me out, and then that's why it's a loophole. Like,
okay, so it's basically a situation where disproportionately men are asking
100%.
or initiating on the first date. But what's interesting with this scenario, it's that it's not just the asking, but because you've asked, you should be also planning and paying. But I feel like the planning thing doesn't always get left up to the person that's asked.
Do you think so?
I mean, you've told me situations where you've suggested lunch and then like they don't want to do lunch.
Yeah, because they wanted dinner, and I wasn't about that life. I'm not paying $80 for fucking dinner when I wouldn't do that. Like I'm more of the mind. This is my mindset, and it's always been like if you're not willing to do it for yourself, why would you expect me to do it for you? So the whole dinner thing, like, and it wasn't just like the one time where it's like, oh, we don't have to do it this day. We can do it on this day. It wasn't that. It was just, oh, I'm not free until 8:00 from Monday through Thursday. Like, that's a dead fucking giveaway. Let's stop playing games. Like this, I know what you want. It's not. My thing is, I think it's a bit more evolved, where it's just like, look, I just want to know if I can stand your ass for an hour during lunch. So if I can stand your ass during an hour, then yeah, I can evolve to dinner, and that could be like 2, 3, 4 hours long, right? I think that's, for me, I think that's a gracious step. I get to know you for an hour, and if I can't stand you in a room for an hour, well, the drinks are awesome, and I can move on with life.
Yeah, it's like low commitment, which I think
exactly.
I think people
low risk, low commitment, low everything.
I think people who are genuinely just looking to genuinely find someone would say that they prefer low commitment, whether you're a man or a woman. So what you're saying is like, if you're not accepting of the plans that I'm proposing, then that's a red flag.
Ulterior
huge
motive.
red flag. Yeah,
ulterior motives.
Okay.
And that's when the gains thing starts to pop into my head. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Cool on you.
That makes sense.
It's satisfying too to be like, no, I'm not good for dinner. No, I'm not good for this. No, I'm not good. All right, whatever.
And then it just fizzles out.
And then it just unmatched. I'm like, no, that was easy.
So then something just came to mind. So I think we can all agree upon 2017, most people on both sides of the aisle, men, women, assume that the guy's supposed to pay. And then, so are there any signals, do we think, if the guy suggests going Dutch in that moment when the bill comes? Like, I guess what else does the guy paying represent?
I mean, I think people assume that because he wasn't willing to pay and he's suggesting, do you want to split it? That the date didn't go well. So the date. Well, that's another one too. Like, some people can think of it like that. But I would say that the date didn't go well, that he wasn't really into you. And, you know, it's like some women will say, well, he's not even giving me the option to offer to pay. So it comes back down to, like you said, it's the expectation that the man is going to pay. But I guess on the flip side, if the woman offers to pay, do men think that the woman wasn't into him?
Oh, that's that's going nowhere. Unless you like kind of knew going to it that she was going to be like some type of sugar mama, like she's an older lady, more like down the line in her career, and like, you know, like there's a significant pay gap and she's trying to splurge on you. That's one thing. But if you guys in similar age, similar pretty much phase in your career, and then she offers to pay, you're never seeing her.
Wait, no. If she offers to go 50-50, like she wants to like split it.
Yeah, I've been with. I'll tell
That's
you one
not as
thing.
bad.
I've been with women who have offered to like pay the bill, and I've seen them like a second, third, and fourth time.
See, I would never offer to pay the whole bill unless like we were friends like that, or like I wanted to be friends with that person. So on the first date, that would never be something that I say.
Yeah, interesting.
Because we're equals.
Some unicorn shit.
Yeah,
like
the unicorn for me.
What that I would offer? Like what is the?
The unicorn thing where she offered to pay the whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, I would never do
She was
that.
just like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see you next time. Blah blah blah, and it's like, oh. Well,
yeah, I mean, I guess that has
She's
to
taking
be
no chances.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, second date, let's do this. All right, cool.
Yeah,
I mean, but then obviously, like, I get the whole bill the next time, and like it's like a back and forth thing. So it's not. There's no. See, I think that when you do stuff like that, there's no pressure, right? There's no pressure to do anything. There legit is no pressure to offer half and not wanting to see the person again.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like just because you go Dutch doesn't mean that there's necessarily a negative signal tied to it.
Nah, of course not.
Even though it sounds like if the dude suggests that that they split it, then for the woman it's a signal that he's not into her or he's broke, so therefore they split ways. So I mean, but that's something to consider. Like I always think about like 50-50, like going Dutch. That's at least a clearer indication that that is somebody that you can consider like a true partner. It's easier. Like if you both are on the same page, you're like, hey, we'll split it. We're on the next time, like whatever. And then it's like, it's whoever like you can afford it the next time or whoever wants to pay for it. It's like, I mean, I think that's the easiest way to really get to know someone.
I feel like it's the easiest way
I actually think like whoever, like dudes paying all the time, if you're really trying to get a sense of like where it's going, it kind of complicates things a little bit. Because if he's always expected to pay, obviously he's paying with you, he's paying with the other chick that he's dating. Like, and that's why I was saying, like, I don't think that the imbalance of like who ends up paying is really an indicator of that they're into you. It's just a transactional thing. And like expecting it doesn't, so like when the woman expects it, it's not really an indication to you whether she's really into you either. Like you're just going out on dates and like she might want to see you for date 2. She might not want to see you for date 2. I don't know.
I don't think most women would take kindly if the guy suggests they go Dutch. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I don't think most people would be like overly happy. Like, oh yeah, like they would be unsure at best.
Oh yeah, let's go 50-50 because
like you're
that's
having
what we're supposed to do.
Supposed to do,
equal.
but doesn't happen.
Yeah, we're both equal.
Doesn't happen. So if the guy all of a sudden suggests going Dutch, I think they're now. If they thought the date was going well, I think they went from date's going well to I'm not too sure anymore.
I guess it's because it comes back down to the expectation. But it's like if the woman suggests for it to be 50-50, it's not the same. Like it doesn't translate to the date didn't go well all the time.
No, because I think for the guy, we could kind of see it as progressive. It still could be bad, but it has the chance of she's progressive, she has her own shit, but vice versa, where the guy suggests going 50-50 is probably went bad.
I don't know. I think it's because of the expectations that we have, like all of these like conundrums of what it really meant. But I mean, like the other thing too is like, well, you can just ask later on and see if you guys should go on a second date, and then if they say yes or no, then you know your answer.
Unless you get ghosted.
And then if you get ghosted, you still have an answer. So I guess we're talking about like the 50-50 piece, but what do you think about people that say that if you don't offer to pay as a man, that like you're not being romantic, or like there's like the romance factor tied with like the man paying?
Then I have to ask another question. Oh shit, here we go. Why do I have to spend money in order for the moment to be romantic? Why is there a financial tie with romanticism? That's what I would ask. What's so romantic about like somebody splurging money?
Well, I don't think that the spending money part on the first date is romantic, because half of the time you barely still even know the person. Like, you need to vet them out a little bit more.
Basically.
But what I have heard is that basically it shows
What happened was
it shows that they're like as the man, you appreciate the person and their value, and that you're kind of like subscribing to sort of like giving gifts and like performing acts of service as like love languages.
Again, it goes back to the whole, now you're telling me that you have a monetary value, and that monetary value is dinner and insert activity here. Is that what you're saying? Is that how that's how I'm seeing it right now?
Well, I like, yeah, some people have a point of view that they know their self-worth. So therefore, for a man,
if you know your self-worth, then you shouldn't even be asking for anything, because that's pretty selfish for you to ask somebody else who you don't know for some money on a date. That's some bullshit. Let's be honest here. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going in, and I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Your viewpoint. I think it's, yes, it can be romantic. Like, it's a nicer story for if you guys go all the way and you can write on your website, this is how we met, da, da, da. But I think it's more so you're invested. You have a vested interest in this person.
Vested or invested? Like
both. And in order to have a vested interest in this, it's a financial payment of sorts in that. And I mean, yes, equal rights, 50-50, but there's so many other things that we still do that's traditional. Like, we're expected to, like, some women are expected the man to protect her, like, we're the protectors in their relationship. Like, there's other very traditional stuff that we still hold true.
But that's basically on physical attributes. Like, I'm just naturally stronger than her because I produce testosterone. Like, that's
just biology.
That's just basic biology,
you
though.
Could be a little bitch. I know some big guys who just a little bitch. Guy I went to college with was just like African dude, like just brolic as shit. Like, I would punk him all the time. He just like
what?
Like, that's the physical thing could probably like initially water of people, but I think it's more like, is your headspace there? But yeah, I think like just for some people, myself included, first dates is one of those traditional things. Maybe some people might be your house roles, and like who's in charge of cleaning, who's in charge of going to grab the groceries. Like I said, I think for some people, like, just depends on how traditional you are.
So I mean, that's kind of brought me back. So like, I can see the romantic piece, like, oh, like he offered, like he's vested. I can see where there is some validity in that point of view. Because how else can you know early on that he's really vested? Could be the question. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, let's say that's
$1 million question. Like,
y'all mofos are killing me right now. Yo.
No, but
but how do you? But
why can't I be emotionally invested?
Do you have a better way of proving someone's invested?
Yeah, by the time that they spend with each other. That legit is like that's investment in time. That's something I will truly never get back. All the money I'm spending, I'll probably get that back eventually. But the time I spend with you, I will never get that back. I'm aging literally right now, this second. Like, I will never get the time back. So I think time has way more importance than the money. I think the money is always going to be there, no matter what relationship you're going to be in, unless you broke as fuck. And even then, yeah, still rich in love. So I'm probably one of those few people that believes that I believe in the love thing and the emotional connection rather than the financial connection.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the connection. It's going to might be the first date, but a lot of times it's not. So it's going to take a while. So like,
that's true.
I think all you do really have, yes, is time. Time, I agree, is a good one. But unfortunately, now a lot of people are just good at juggling people. It's like, all right, cool.
All right,
Tuesday, you Thursday, you Friday, you Saturday. So the time just
Right.
becomes, I just put you in my calendar and know who I'm meeting and when. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true.
it's just, everyone's just so good at this dating game. Just like, it's like, fuck. Like, how do I just weed out these fuck boys and crazy chicks? It's just
Right.
like, it sucks. There's no bulletproof answers. Some people got loads of money, so cool. I'm throwing cash at you. That don't mean nothing to me.
Right.
Some people work 9 to 5, never work weekends, never work nights. So cool. I got plenty of time. So it's like, how do you come up with a solution that, okay, you spending time with me, okay, you spending money, both, yada yada, that proves the person's actually interested. So
Okay.
sucks. But.
So, I mean, I can see that. I mean, there's so the other piece too, it's like, well, when it has this romance piece of it, and I think there's also the game that's played of like reaching for your purse, like you said, or reaching for your credit card.
Start shuffling.
Oh, I can't find it. Like, your purse is not that big.
How did you get here? You use your Metro card. Where do you put the Metro card at?
But so there's a point of view. So there's a point of view of women that won't outwardly, vocally say that they expect the man to pay, but they do say, "Hey, I'm going to reach for my wallet," and he's going to offer to pay, and like, you know, whatever. Like,
That's a step better than the ones that expect you to just pay.
Yeah, the ones that just don't move at all.
The ones that don't move at all. At least you moving.
So, okay, so going to the people that just always say they expect the man to pay. And I kind of want to have a little bit of discussion on this, because these are usually people that will say, "Well, I know my worth. I'm not going to waste my time.
Sorry.
Like, I need to make sure that he's vested." So kind of what you said, Brock. Like, I'm not going to settle for less. Like, I'm not going to settle for a man that isn't willing to pay for me.
Why am I paying for you?
But then
you're not my property.
And then when
or are you?
you ain't shit.
So I was getting to that a little bit. So this is the person that has that point of view, and it's usually referenced as like, I have old fashioned values, which I respect.
How you in corporate
that.
America and you have old fashioned values like that? Don't make no kind of sense.
And then,
like, the old fashioned values to me is you in the house 9 to 5 cooking and cleaning all
exactly,
that shit.
bong, bingo,
All right.
bong, and most of these women can't even cook. So it's
Yeah.
like, you want me to pay you?
You
Your
want
ass can't fucking boil water.
How is that possible?
Like,
You
what we
can't
doing
say
here?
this, and that's what, back to my whole rant in the beginning, my Kanye West rant. You can't say that you're this one thing, and then you on the opposite side of the lines talking about I need you to pay for me because of XYZ, because either, men have more rights than women, which, okay, fine, whatever, I'll give you that. Or men don't treat women as equals. Harvey Weinstein kind of fucked that up for everybody. So take that out. And number 3, I don't even have number 3. Just point to the first 2. Like, come on, man. You can't have it both ways. You just can't.
But what
Sorry, that's another rant for
me.
me.
No, but see, like, that's the thing. It's like the matter of expectation. And I loved how frustrated you got, Brock.
It's
because
so annoying.
even though you're one that says that you will always pay on the first date, but then it goes back to the logic behind it, and like the intentions behind it, and the fact that, like, well, if it's somebody that's actually trying to be considerate and they'd be willing to pay for it, but I don't want to let them because I actually want to spoil them.
Yeah.
Versus the person that just feels like
You entitled as fuck.
Like, you're not old, like, and here's why that fucking irritates me so much. I've heard that line so many times. It's not like we're talking about the person, she's bad as shit, has making 6 figures, has her own place. Like, she's fucking about her shit, and she could demand that. It's all these bottom feeders that demanding to get taken out. Like,
oh shit!
Like,
please don't press pause. Please don't press pause.
Your demands need to meet what you're able to provide.
Do not unsubscribe, please.
Like that's what's so irritating. Like, there's 4 billion vaginas and 8 billion breasts out there. Like, you're not special. No offense, you're not special for demanding men. Demanding men pay for you. Hoping, expecting, loosely expecting is fine, but if you're demanding me pay for you, then I'm demanding some cheeks at the end of this. Like, then it becomes transactional.
Hey.
I slide you this money for dinner, you slide me these cheeks back. Like, it's when it becomes a demand is where I have a problem. Like, don't demand it, especially when you have nothing to offer. Because I have my own place, I clean my own place, I make my own money. I really don't need you.
Yeah. Just as much you saying that you make all this money and you all this extra stuff. I'm on the opposite side. The only difference between me and you right now is what I got between my legs.
And I got time.
Biology.
I could pop out babies at 70 if I wanted to. You don't have time, so I could wait you out too. There's not a game you want to play with, man. We're gonna win every single time. Single time.
Can't play this game like that.
And that's why I say that it's easier to just go 50-50. And there's other things that I think are better cues about people being interested. But at the end of the day, it's just like, especially if, like you said, if it's somebody that, brings stuff to the table, like they have a full-time job, 6-figure salary, whatever. Not everybody has a 6-figure salary.
Yeah,
but the people that don't have
numbers.
the 6-figure salary and, they're still about making it work for them and they're about hustling about their life. Like, again, it goes back to value. So like they value work, they value ethic, their work ethic, they value wanting to find somebody that's their equal. It's like kind of finding your equal, but in those situations, if they're at least being considerate, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, like I can get down with this person, like I'll pay for the dinner or whatever. But it's more of the cases where it's an expectation and you're not really bringing anything, but the fact that, I don't know, I guess you have a vagina is what.
That shit ain't special. Like, there's a lot of those out there. Like, I don't even know if you even know how to use it properly. It's just like what are we talking about?
You need Brian McKnight to show you how. Let me show you how
It's just like you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, just,
demands are like that. That is just.
And I think what's important to point out, and it's something that Wesley, you brought it up earlier, but I don't think it's been explicitly said. As much as a woman that says they have old-fashioned values and they want to be wine and dined, say that that's kind of what they require of a man. But let's say that's a career woman, right? Like she has a career, she just wants guys to like treat her.
That's a walking contradiction right there. Then.
Right,
Yeah.
but so that what I'm
Legit.
saying is like what other. Like, I don't think what some women consider is that if you are the working woman and you do have a career and you're demanding that the dude pays for you because you're old fashioned, my question to the dude is, if he was raised with old fashioned values, does he really want a woman that has a career and isn't going to stay at home?
Pow.
Probably not. Unless you're doing both. And
you see what you've done?
The dinner better
This
be
is
nice
what-
and hot by the
this
time
is-
I get home.
This is what we call in IT introducing logic into an ID 10T error. That's an idiot error. You've introduced a lot of logic there. When you really think about it, does it really make sense? No, it doesn't.
It's picking and choosing what's nice.
Yeah, you just not. That's what I call cookie cutter beliefs. You like to pick the things that are really nice, and you like to slap them on. Put it all together. It's like that. You have Play-Doh, different colors of Play-Doh. You put it all together. Like, oh look, it's a fucking globe. Like, no, you just put a bunch of stuff together, and then you made it into this little monster that you created. No,
Little monster.
no, that is not the Earth.
So, but I think that's something to hold. Like, if you're really set on judging someone based on just the expectation that they're going to pay, I think you're going to be surprised that the person that's receptive to that and believes the same thing might want you to be somebody that you're not.
You're going to be alone for a long time. We'll put it that way.
So it's just like, it's going back to like, what are the real cues you should be using to judge?
You know what? Sorry. And furthermore, just to really accentuate this, I find that the people who say stuff like that they demand things like that, tend to be the ones that play the most games. I just want to put that out there. They tend to be the ones that kind of really play the games, but they're about that life. Like if that one game doesn't work, they're going to try something else. They're going to try something else and try something else until they get their way. I find that. I'm sorry. That's my personal experience.
That's
anyway,
what you've experienced. You're
Yeah,
just like
that's
really
my
like,
experience.
ugh.
like that's sorry.
Which, I mean, everybody has like their own experiences with it. And that's the thing though, too. It's like, okay, this is the first date that we've been talking about. But then eventually, if this first date goes well, you're going to get into a relationship. And then what I found interesting is that a lot of people say, well, it's different once you're in a relationship. Like once you're in a relationship, it's expected that it's more 50-50.
Why do I have to wait to get into the relationship?
Yeah, it should be practice
to
for the relationship.
It's not stop spending money. It's like halfway spend money. Like, really? We could have been doing this a long time ago.
So that's why I think to Brock's frustration, to Wesley's just like point of view on everything, it's just like very
No, motherfuckers, no.
50-50 all the way.
It's about, I think, more around the partnership. So like, I think some people wait until they're in the relationship to really vet out the partnership. And I think for the people that are more like pro Dutch, pro 50-50, like they start getting a feel for that earlier on than waiting until they're in a relationship.
And if you wait till then, it's like that Drake cover, It's Already Too Late. If you're reading This Is Already Too Late, you're pretty fucked. Sorry. But anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, to each their own, but I think there's different ways there's still lots of trains of thought on this. It's not as clear cut as like the man always pays, or like there's bad cues when it's 50-50. I think there's still, everybody's trying to figure it out for themselves. But I think that the more authentic way to figure it out is like not to put so much weight on who paid for the first date, but just go off on like the interaction from the first date.
100%.
My 2 cents on it.
All right, cool.
But like, we wanted to share a couple of other specific points of view that people had, that they mentioned that I thought were interesting. And it actually does continue. Like I said, it kind of goes across the board. So
Yeah, I can kick that off. So we had a little blurb from a dating coach, and she had a kind of like an old school viewpoint that men should always pay, always in capital letters, for dinner and drinks on the first date. Otherwise, they'll be essentially friend zoned or just viewed as cheap and probably never spoken to again. And then this kind of literally just goes back to what we just talked about. Well, if you as a woman, this dating coach, has this old school views of men should pay, then I have the right and privilege as a man to have old school views of women then. And I want you to wear this little apron in the kitchen and always cooking and cleaning and just popping out babies. Like, you see how stupid that sounds?
Yeah.
Like, it's just dumb. Like, it should never be a demand or expectation or entitlement. It should be like, this person is interested in you, feels a connection, and wants to splurge on you, wants to spend this money on you. See, one is I want to, the other one is not I am forced to or coerced to. So, yeah. I wonder how many clients that dating coach has, but
yeah, I don't know. But I thought it was interesting because she, the one word that you didn't bring up that she uses is modern man. So the modern man should always pay for drinks, which I was like, okay, well, sure.
What's constituted as the you know what? Stop. I'm gonna stop. that might get into some whole other shit. All right, next.
The sex, so there's 2 points of view that I kind of loved on here. So the sex blogger is that her take is that it should always be 50-50.
There you go.
And she basically says that, you know, she's able to pay for her share of a date. And if it's the second date, then yeah, she's going to do it again. She actually gets frustrated when she offers to pay and the dude nags her that he wants to pay because she wants to keep things equal. And she feels patronized if he's not letting her keep that equilibrium.
You hear that, lady? That was a lady that agreed with what I was saying.
Yeah, because she says that if you insist that your date pays, then it basically sets this expectation where you don't really know whether the like time is a factor. So like she actually places more value on what you were saying, Wesley, on time.
Oh,
so like time
a
is
woman
more
said this?
Time is more important than a
my
transaction.
gosh. I feel vindicated
Because then you're kind of if you insist on the paying thing, you're sort of implying that you guys owe something to each other, and she doesn't subscribe to
She's
that.
not about that life.
cheeks.
And I got the glamour girl and the porn star. I should have had the sex blogger one. What? They talk about how like the men should pay, and if they have to go half, that it would turn them off. to the man themselves. Like, look, fellas, run. Just run from this type of person. Like, for me, honestly, if I hadn't said it once, I've said it 1,000 times during this episode. Try to go 50-50. And if that person doesn't want to go 50-50, that person's not for you. That person does not put the kind of value that you want to put into a partnership, which is the time, like, building an emotional connection with the person, building some kind of chemistry, not building this financial responsibility, or in this case, irresponsibility, by paying for lavish dates and shit like that. So, yeah.
Okay, so no glamour girls for you then. That want to be wined and dined. No. And the last point of view that we're going to go through is the academic. And hers is really interesting because she brings up some good points. So she says, don't try to buy women. And then she says that this question of paying is really more of a heterosexual dating consideration because of chivalry. So we talked about chivalry before and sort of like being considerate and romantic. But what she points out is that chivalry is actually rooted in male economic and social power. That is the origin of chivalry.
You hear that, ladies?
And that it involves the rituals of men treating women with like a lot of politeness and regard because of the fact that it was meant to mask that men dominated the public sphere and that men dominated all economic power within like the gender classes. So she feels that payment on a first date has ties to notions of ownership. So that if you're the man that's paying, therefore you sort of own her because she owes you something in return. So sort of like,
yes, daddy.
So sort of like Brock's kind of point of view that if I slide this cash for the dinner, you're going to slide me like the butt cheeks. So she does bring that up, and that it's very much based within the patriarchy. And so her point of view is that men should get used to the fact that it shouldn't be about paying for the woman, because if he's paying, it shouldn't be rooted in the expectation that he's going to get sex at the end of it. And that she wants to remind men that women should be respected and that they're not commodities to be purchased.
100%.
150% agree. 1,000% agree with
so
that.
I really, really liked her point of view on it.
I never get that. Like, we all have mothers. Like, I don't understand how it just doesn't. It just baffles me.
But the whole notion of
fuck
baffles my mind. Like, I was taught to respect women, regard them as equals in my own life. But then, like, when it comes to this shit, I gotta treat you like a commodity. Come on, son.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's like a commodity. I get treated enough as a commodity when I'm walking down the street with the cat calls, but that's a completely different episode.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But there you have all the points of view. We should have referenced every single point of view that's out there. I don't think we left any stone unturned in this case.
Yeah, especially my rant in the beginning.
And
if you lasted to the end, thank you.
So, I mean, we all see how we think about it. We all have different approaches to it. But at the end of the day, it's about the authenticity. So however it is that you're making authentic connections and going on authentic dates.
I'm expecting a lot of hate mail. I'm expecting it. I'm just expecting it.
You do you. But I would also say be careful, because sometimes if you pay attention to the wrong things, you may not be actually weeding out the people that you need to be weeding out.
If you want to send a hate mail, NoFreeDrinks@gmail.com. Send it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think about today's episode. Just hit us up on our Contact Us form at NoFreeDrinks.com. Or if you're lazy like me, which is all the time, you can hit us up at NoFreeDrinks@gmail.com.
And that was our episode today. Thanks for coming. I hope it was good for you too. This is Lena D. Kisses.
This is Wesley. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
This is Brock. Make love, not babies.